Today on r/AskReddit, Redditors who made a lot of money by sheer randomness. What's your story? I won $5,000 playing bingo on a cruise. I have only been on one cruise. And it was the only time I have played bingo in my life. I have retired from both. Going out on top. Worked a job for a long time. Got hurt on the job. They, instead of helping me, terminated me. Got a lawyer. A year later got $260K for the whole fiasco. Not sure if this counts, but that's my story. I once got a message from Reddit admin. It asked if I wanted to do some contract work in my free time. Over the course of a few months, I made like $5 for browsing subreddits and categorizing them by topic and age rating. I didn't get to pick the subreddits I wanted to view though. Feed sent me a list of a few hundred subreddits. And did have to spend about 10 to 15 minutes on each sub. I'd check for certain things. Fill out a Google Sheets form. And move on to the next sub. When I finished a full list, I'd email them to get a new one. It was a pretty sweet gig. I was a substitute teacher and a tutor at the time. So anytime a kid or a teacher cancelled on me, I'd do my Reddit thing. Plus, it was an easy job to do while I was homesick. Or waiting for the repair guy to come to my house. Because I had no set hours. I just worked whenever I felt like it. My wife's aunt died. She had been institutionalized her whole life and neither of us had ever even met her. We kind of forgot about it for a few months until my wife's uncle emailed her and said she was going to be getting some money. We were like, oh. Okay. That's kinda weird. But not complaining. Then my wife got a phone call from the uncle one evening. I heard a lot of ums, okays, and geez. Wows. Turned out we were getting over $300,000. We were both grinding away making $15 an hour and barely making rent every month. And then boom. Out of nowhere. That ended up being the difference between having a house and not having a house. Being able to start a family and not being able to start a family. And having a retirement fund vs just hoping not to get evicted every month. Sounds like you made very good use of the money. Congrats on the unexpected windfall. And using it wisely. I found $3,600 in a food taquilla box in the middle of a giant field. I live in a rich area and lot of drug deals happen, so it's possible I stole multiple thousands of dollars from a drug dealer on accident. Edit. No, I don't really think it's funny. I made a shit post that used an awkward lol to alleviate my own morbid observation. Actually very surprised to see this blow up. I started an Amazon private label business on a whim in 2015. I made about 25% of the sale in profit after product, shipping, and advertising costs. Sales doubled every month for 6 months. June $4K. July $8K. August $18K. September $40K. October $84K. November $175K. December $362K. I didn't know what to do. I quit my job in January to focus on growing the business. But my time was spent mostly trying to fend off competition copying my listing and posting fraudulent reviews and then lowering my price in the race to the bottom. It went well for a few years. But I never made as much as I made that first December. Lesson learned. Arbitrage isn't a long-term business. What kind of stuff did you sell, if you don't mind me asking? I've always wanted to try this. Sounds like it could be worth it. Still. Grossing $175K for half a year's work. That is not bad. My grandma decided to try a slot machine once as a joke and won $300 first try. Playing blackjack while drunk in Reno. I had $300 to waste at the $5 table, got lots of free watered down drinks while I was playing, so I wasn't paying attention. I have a rule. 2 piles. One of cash I can waste and another of money I won. I was there for about 3 hours before I realized I wasn't out of betting money and the dealer had changed 4 times. $4K at that table. Paid for the trip and a bit left over. I haven't been to a casino since, but I doubt I'd have that kind of luck again. When I was 17 about to turn 18, my mom told me to open a bank account because I was going to get around 500 to 600 from my dad. Opened the bank account, signed the papers she needed me to, and got a whopping $15,400 deposited into my bank at 18 years old. 2 years ago, 22 at this point. Come to find out he gets a huge settlement for a car accident, I think, and get another 15k disbursed over 2.5 years. IDK if it was back child support or what, but I was really blessed. I've been working since I was 15 and the most money I've ever had was $2,200 at once. I'm 24. Blessed as duck. I used to play Minesweeper a lot. Some website showed up where you could play in little tournaments. I started with $20 and made over $1,000. I don't remember the name of the website. This was like 20 years ago. I'm sure it's long gone. I have never won a game of that. Even in the easy mode. I like numbers. I just can't do Minesweeper. Meanwhile, I had a friend who could rapid fire through expert mode. Not money. But I was gifted a brand new $1,200 laptop for free once. Just because I posted about needing a new one on a forum. Normal Reddit reply of not me but my friend's dad's friend. He decided to open an ice business. Hey, everyone need ice. He bought an old warehouse in the ghetto because it was cheap. Government decided to redo the on-ramps to the bridge and needed to buy like 1/3 of his parking lot. Maybe say 20 parking spots worth. He didn't care. He had a staff of like 4. Never used more than that. I never heard exact numbers, but I did hear he got more for those spots than he paid for the property. I briefly worked with a guy who was in his late 20s. Ex-military. When he got out, a friend of his he served with told him to buy Bitcoin. He bought several thousand worth when it was nothing and forgot about it. When it first started spiking and getting attention on the news, he started looking for the drive because he thought he had some. He didn't, he had a lot of it. Sold well before the peak. Dude made millions. He had an $800,000 house, multiple high-end cars, and came to work a manual labor job because he was bored. Needless to say, he didn't stay long and all he did was show off his money and clock hours not actually working. I know a woman who works at a board game cafe, a place where you pay $10 to play board games long as you want, and she is actually wealthy. She just likes working there. I feel like if you are wealthy enough to not need to work, you need something to occupy your time. Especially say this now during a pandemic, having more free time and feeling so bored. If he bought several thousand worth and forgot about it, he was already rich. My previous employer eliminated my position. A whole department actually. I got a severance of 1 week/year which worked out to be 22 weeks of salary. Not only that, I got paid a bonus to stay on for the last 3 months. After that was over, I got a job with a competitor company making the exact same salary and doing mostly the same job. Started the very next Monday. I actually even like working for the new company better. I don't know how random that really was, but it sure felt like a real fortunate way to lose a job. I had a boss who was single, no kids, and making around $250k a year. He was set to retire around age 56, and the company begged him to stay on another year. So he did. During that year, the parent company suddenly offered a buyout to eliminate senior positions, offering a month for every year they were there. He had been with the company 30 years, and he walked away with an additional $600k or so. Last I heard, pre-COVID, he was traveling the world in luxury. I was celebrating my 20th birthday. Decided to go to the nice casino an hour away from campus with my then boyfriend. We played bingo because that's what I could afford, and it occupied some time. We lost. I called my dad, he loves casinos when he has the money to go. He told me to play 3-card poker. I had watched him play before, but I didn't know how and was on my last $20 to my name. He told me that would be enough for a hand or two and just give it a shot. The dealer would explain the rules. So I sat at the table by myself. I won. The dealer was really excited for me. But I was pretty clueless. I had a straight flush. Then I just kept winning. People would take the seat in front of me. They would lose. Edwin. Didn't matter. Got 2 more straight flushes that night and lots of other good hands. I kept betting the minimum. Wish I was putting down more. I turned $20 into $3K that night. My dad didn't believe me. Not me, but my 14 years old cousin made an abstract art piece that took him 2 minutes maximum, and as a joke put it on eBay for $5K. He sold it. IDK if he was telling the truth, but he did give me $200 for my day. He normally gives around $20, so it seems likely. A 14-year-old gave you $200 as a birthday gift? I started live streaming on Twitch a few years back when I was 15. I unexpectedly blew up really quickly and amassed a following in only about 2 months of streaming. I made over $2,000, which was a lot for a 15-year-old. Haha. I always wonder how much money full-time YouTubers make. That's cool to hear. Do you still stream? My friend's father was gifted an oil pencil drawing in the late 70s. His family always assumed it was pretty much worthless, and I always joked that it looked like my friend had drawn it as a child. This stilly angry stick figure drawing ended up being an unsigned piece of art by Jane Michelle Basquiat. His family did some digging and eventually had it authenticated by the JMB estate before selling it at Christie's auction house for an amazing sum of money. I was absolutely blown away when I learned this. My friend and his family were far from wealthy, so to realize they had this unknown treasure just sitting out in the living room for so many years was mind-blowing. Having seen Basquiat's known work, even though I'm a fan, I can see how they'd be confused. There's a distinct angry child look to them. When Google first came out, I thought it was far and away superior to the search engines of their time. Much more efficient interface. When their IPO came out, I got some. I quit a job at a startup that was a mess, and I just wanted to do something relaxing, so I took some time of cleaning up an old algorithm I wrote 10 years ago. I told a friend of mine, who told some industry people about it. They contacted me, and I got invited to talk about it at a conference, and then large companies started getting in touch. So far I have signed one 7-figure deal to license it. It's not random, but it feels very random. I'm making more in interest now than I ever have earned holding down a job. The world is not fair. Sounds like your own version of Silicon Valley, haha. I was 10 years old. Me and my 2 friends found a paper bag in a shopping cart outside the local grocery. It was stuffed with money. We counted it, and it was just over $600. We split it 3 ways and went home. One of my friends later crumbled under the pressure and told their moms, who told our moms. We had to return it. I only spent like $10. Turns out it belonged to one of the suppliers to the grocery, who accidentally left it in his cart on the way out. Not a ton of money. But for a 10-year-old kid, man, we were proper rich for a minute. Forgot I had 11 point something bitcoins from back in the day left over from buying pizza. Tried to set up a new account to invest in bitcoin, since I'd used it before, and saw I already had an account. Logged in and wow. Sold it all, and made like $7K. Imagine the feeling knowing it would eventually reach $20K per coin. I got 0.5 a bitcoin filling out a survey, and 0.1 filling out another, when that was worth maybe 5C. Sold it north of $19K/BC. Made $10K before fees and taxes. O_O. Found $50 on the ground once. My ex-husband was a bad dude. He currently owes me over $26K in back child support. When we were together, all of the bills were in my name. He left me for another woman 3 weeks after I gave birth to our second child and defaulted on all of our bills. Both our cars got repoed, and I ended up filing bankruptcy 2 years later. Last year I got a notice in the mail from the lender of one of the 2 repoed cars. Apparently there was a class action lawsuit against them for hidden fees, and since the cars were in my name, I was getting a refund of a few $1,000s. I was able to use the money to help move out of my mum's place. One time when I was like 15, I heard a story on ESPN about how a Tiger Woods rookie card that was published by C4Kids magazine had sold for like $100,000. I had subscribed to C4Kids around that time and spent part of that afternoon looking through old boxes for that issue. Lo and behold, I found the issue with a page of perforated cards perfectly intact. It wasn't perfectly centered, and I didn't want to risk detaching it and ruining something. So I put the whole magazine on eBay. Sold it for $500. Which felt like a small fortune at the time. I felt like a king that day. Edit. Like one card ever went for that much, and it was graded a perfect 10. Then everyone realized it was an option, and looked for their card from their magazine. Supply quickly outstripped demand. By the time I listed, most people were getting like $100-300. The $500 I got was well above average when it sold. Mine also would never have graded even close to a 10 because it was off center. Sorry. Should have explained that up front to avoid looking like a total fool. I must be missing something. How did it go for $100k but you only got $500? Thanks for the edit. Cleared it up. So the actual fool was the poor guy who paid $100k for a $100 card. Lawsuit settlement. I'm not sure how else you get large amounts of money besides the lottery or options trading. The rich people's lottery. Not fast money. But I lucked in to get hired by our employee-owned business. You earn 25% of your annual salary in stock. I have 6 figures worth. I hope to afford a decent retirement. I built a motorcycle. Back in 2011. Pretty well all the parts on it I built. Took it to a few rallies. Few shows. Made its way around the internet. Some magazines. Had a ton of people ask if I sold this part or that part. So I started in my garage. Sold right about 10,000 parts out of there over the span of 2 years. Bought a shop. More equipment. Started automating my processes. Friend that owns a business that supplies stuff to practically every nuclear plant in the world pops in one day. Asks me to design a connector for a surveillance system they sell. Took a day. Had the prototype done. Cut out round about 20 minutes on each individual camera installation. And required no tools. They sold a duck ton of those. Then jumped into radiation shielding. Big FN money in that. It's been nearly 10 years now. Sell thousands upon thousands of bike parts that I designed and build every year. Travel to motorcycle events all over. Generally have a blast. I'm 31. Pretty well have the financial freedom to go do whatever I want. This is not random, this is highly skilled labor in a lucrative field. Q Key and Peel bank robber sketch. It's a long story that I don't feel great about sometimes and other times I don't care at all. But when I was 18 I'm a girl, I was working as a waitress at a high-end cigar bar and I met some very rich men and one thing led to another and I paid off all my college and then some from 3 nights of work with a few of the guys, and even though they were nice it was still a Nike situation just by definition. Could provide more details if anyone cares. It's crazy how much our vaginas could pay for. Could provide more details if anyone cares. I'm not sure how much you want to type out all of that stuff. So I'm not going to explicitly ask you to retell it. But if you're willing to retell the story, myself and several other people here on the internet would be willing to read it. On a whim I decided to start selling clothes from my closet that I don't use, and in a month I made over $1,000. Wasn't a lot, but my best friend and I went to Jack in the Box for my 17th birthday. We spent like $10 to $15 maximum. Then when we came out there were 2 $10 bills in the grass outside. We each took one. That was a nice birthday. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more dank curated content from Crosspostable Reddit.